Alright, good day class. You are welcome to this literature class. I am your host for today's class. I am Kayode Olugbola. This e-learning platform is brought to us by Isaac Humanitarian Foundation. And for today's literature class, we want to discuss the topic General Literary Appreciation. General Literary Appreciation, that's our topic for today. General Literary Appreciation. We want to see some terminologies, some devices that are what? Peculiar to literary writings. Yes. General Literary Appreciation has to do with what? The devices, the elements or terms that are what? Peculiar to literary writings. They are terms that are peculiar to literary writings, and they are one, prosody or cadenza. That's one. Two, we have trilogy. Three, we have mimesis. Four, we have comic relief. Five, we have classical literature. Six, we have hubris. And seven, we have what? Poetic license. These are specifically what? General literary appreciation. As I've said earlier, I said they are terms or devices or elements that are peculiar to literary writings. Now the first of them is prosody. What is prosody? Prosody is the metrical pattern, the process of getting the metrical pattern or feature of a poem. Yes, there is a topic in literature called metrical pattern itself. Metrical pattern. Yes, we are going to discuss foot and meter. There we are going to discuss foot and meter. Now, the process of getting the metrical pattern of a poem. Under metrical pattern, what do? You identify the foot and meter. And there, foot means what? The identification of what? Of stressed syllables and unstressed syllables. While meter has to do with what? The classification of what? Of the metrical or the foot or feet. Now, when you divide a poem into stressed and unstressed syllable, it is called what? Prosody or cadenza. Take note, class. The identification of stressed and unstressed syllables in a poem is a metrical pattern called prosody. For example, let's look at this line. Look at this line now. Let's look at this line. The splendor falls on castle wall. This is a poetic line. The splendor falls on castle wall. Then I ask us, what is the metrical pattern? That is the prosodic feature. Meaning, we have to pronounce these words and get which syllable is stressed and which syllable is what? Unstressed. So look at it. D is an article, is unstressed. Splendor is a noun and has two syllables. One is stressed, one is unstressed. We have splend, stressed, do, unstressed. Fall is a verb, always stressed. On is a preposition, which is what? Unstressed. Castle is a noun. Wall is what? A noun as well. So let's see. This one has unstressed stress, unstressed stress, unstressed stress, unstressed stress. This feature is called prosodic feature or cadenza. So when you get the metrical pattern of the poem by identifying stressed syllable and unstressed syllables, class, take note, it is called prosody or cadenza. That's number one. Number two, you have trilogy. Trilogy, yes. Trilogy in literature refers to a group of three connected plays or writers. A group of three connected plays or writers is called trilogy. That is, you have three in one word play. When you have three in one play, example, in one booklet, you have three plays here. Play number one, you have my love. Play number 2, you have my travel experience. That's number 2. Then play number 3, what's a life? That's number 3. When in a single booklet you have 3 connected plays, it is called trilogy. 3 connected plays or action in the same booklet is called trilogy. Example, if you look at your native song written by Richard Wright, native song written by Richard Wright, the novel is a trilogy. Why? The novel has 3 chapters. We have 3 chapters. The actions in the novel are divided into 3 chapters. The first chapter is called what? We have first chapter, we have fear. That's chapter 1, fear. If you look at chapter 2, we have flight. Chapter 2. Then we have chapter 3, which is what? Faith. A group of 3 connected words, action, story. A one is called trilogy. And an example of a trilogy is what? Native song. That's one. Also, read this play titled Our Husband Has Gone Mad Again. Our husband has gone mad again. Our husband has gone mad again. That is a play written by Olugbola. Olugbola wrote that play titled Our Husband Has Gone Mad Again. Yes, that's the title of the play. But this play is a trilogy. Why? We have 3 plays in one booklet. We have Our Husband Has Gone Mad Again. Then there are 2 other plays in the same booklet, making it what? 3 connected plays. Hence, in literature, a trilogy is defined as a group of 3 connected plays in one. That's what called trilogy number 2. Look at number 3, mimesis. What is mimesis? Mimesis in literature is a literary term which means the imitation of an action. Imitation of an action. Mimesis means imitation of an action. So that's why drama is mimetic. Drama is what? Mimetic. Actually, what? We have a drama called burlesque. What's burlesque? Burlesque is the dramatic imitation of what? A person's feature in order to what? Ridicule or mock them. So we have mimetic word feature in drama. Drama is mimetic. Why? It involves what? Imitation of an action on a stage. Therefore, that imitation of action on a stage in form of dramatic performance is what called mimesis. Take note, it's called mimesis. Next, we have comic relief. What is comic relief? Comic relief simply means the introduction of a funny character or laughable word scene within a tragic performance so as to ease the tension of the audience. When you watch tragedy as a play, you audience tend to have rising tension. The audience always have what? Rising tension in a tragedy. So what the playwright does is that what? The playwright will now bring in what? A funny character or a scene that you laugh what over. They will bring you a funny scene or a funny character to do what? To do something funny that will make the audience laugh And the aim of doing that word is to lessen or ease the tension of who? Of the audience. Therefore, the introduction of a funny scene or funny character within a tragic performance so as to ease the tension of the audience is called comic relief. Take note. Look at this. Classical literature. Classical literature is a form of literature that has relevance in all ages. A work of art is described as being classical when it cuts across what? All ages or generation. Meaning, yesterday it was relevant. Today it is relevant. Even posterity, future generation, it will still what? Be relevant with them. So a work of art that has relevance in all generation, in all ages, is what? Is classical. Is classical. So, although classical literature depicts what? The literary writings of what? Of the people in where? In Greece. The literary writings of what? Of the Greeks is called classical literature. But then, in modern time, a work of art is classical when it has what? Relevance in what? In all ages. When it has relevance in all what? Generation. That is, yesterday it was relevant to the generation. Today it is relevant to what? To us. And then again, in the future, such work of art will still what? Maintain its what? Relevance. That is called classical literature. Take note. Next, we have hubris. Hubris. What is hubris? Hubris is the pride in a hero that causes what? Misfortune or downfall. Note, in our previous classes, I made mention of what is called tragic flaw or amateur. In that class, I said that tragic flaw is the general weakness, the sudden weakness or an error in judgment made by a character which causes what? Downfall or misfortune. But if the specific weakness in a character is pride, if a hero has a pride and the pride is what causes downfall, misfortune or death, in literature it is termed what? It is termed hubris. So hubris and amateur, they are close, but there's a thin line difference between them. While amateur represents the general weakness in a character that causes misfortune, hubris is specifically the pride in a hero that causes what? Misfortune or downfall. Then lastly, we have a poetic word license. Poetic license simply refers to what? The freedom or liberty. The freedom or liberty given to what? The writers to use language as it is what? Pleasing to them. As literary writers, they can coin what? They can coin words. They can bring you what? New words. They can use what? Archaic words. They can what? Produce what? They can even use existing words in what? In a new form. So that freedom or liberty that writers have to use language as it is pleasing to them, it is called poetic license. And when we discuss poetic license, we can achieve poetic license through the following. One, coinage. There can be what? Coinage of new words, meaning new words can be invented. Two, you can have what? Archaism. Archaism meaning what? Use of old words. Use of what? Primitive words. You see this one here? Shakespearean word. Shakespearean writers, yes. In fact, we can have what? We can have local dialect. We can have the influence of what? Of a local dialect. So when a writer enriches his or her work with coinage, archaism, or local dialect, they all point toward a literary term called poetic license, which is the freedom of liberty given to writers to use language as what it appeals to them, or as is what as it is pleasing to them to communicate what a particular message or human experience. All right, this is where we will draw the content for today's class. So let me pause here for today, and then we'll see some other time. Thank you all for your audience. Good day, class.